this video, we're going to cover some of the things that you can do generally across the board for any niche, any vertical, that are going to help you become successful on the platform. So the first thing that we need to take into account is which objective we're going to use for our campaigns. So there's a number of campaigns you can use on Facebook. There's brand awareness, reach, traffic, engagement, app installs, video views, lead generation, messages, conversions, product catalog sales, and store visits. So these first two, the first two under the first column, awareness, brand awareness, and reach, you're really not going to worry too much about brand awareness, and I won't go into too much detail about it. But just generally across the board, whenever you're using one of these campaigns, you're essentially trying to find the people who are most likely to remember your remember your ad after a certain amount of days, and that's not too useful, to be quite frank. Really, if you're going to use an awareness ad, you're going to try to use reach, and that's mainly for retargeting. And I'll go into that on a separate video, but just know brand awareness is essentially useless. So on this next column, there's a few more. There's traffic, engagement, app installs, video views, lead generation, and messages. Now, whenever you're first choosing your campaign objective, you need to think about what you want, which action you want your target market to take. So if you're trying to drive someone to a website, you use traffic. If you want them to like, comment, or share one of your posts, like a page, anything like that, you're going to try to use engagement. See, post engagement, page likes, and event responses. Now these event response ads, you're essentially trying to get people to confirm that they're going to go to one of your ads. And this is useful, let's say if you're trying to drive people to a music venue and you want to kind of gauge the engagement, you would just run one of these ads, you'd select event response, then you'd post that ad, and you'd try to get, and Facebook would try to find the people who are more likely to opt into this offer and maybe even show up at your venue whenever you decided to maybe host a music event, live event, anything like that. App installs are for people who are trying to sell their app. You're really trying to get in front of the people who are most likely to download that application, so that way they can begin taking action on it regardless of whatever it is. So let's say you have a game and you really want people to get onto the platform. App installs is really going to be your best friend. Video views is actually a pretty useful campaign, in my opinion. This next one, you're targeting the people who are most likely to watch your videos, and that's kind of a lower tier of engagement. However, you can create custom audiences based off the people who have watched these videos. So if you were to take maybe the 75 to 95% of the people that watched your video, and let's say this is kind of an in-depth video, it's highly engaging, you can take that top percentage, and you can use that to then create lookalike audiences based off of those guys, so you can try to find more potential customers that way. So it's actually pretty useful. Lead generation, these ads are for primarily trying to get information from your target market. So whenever you run a lead generation campaign, you're trying to get people to click on your advertisement and then fill out a form, and that is passing their information to you, so you can begin to fill your email address, so you can begin to fill your mailing lists, get some phone numbers, get some names, just to kind of get people just trying to generate leads essentially. And then messenger ads, these are pretty cool. Basically, whenever you run a messenger ad, you're going to show up, and your ad's going to show up in the news feed or wherever you can opt in. Someone's going to click on it, and then once they click on it, that's going to open up advertisements in their messenger, and so you can begin running ads directly to someone's messenger in the same way that you can send emails directly to someone's email after they've given that to you. So they're pretty cool and they're pretty useful. So these next three, conversions, product catalog, sales, store visits, they're all pretty powerful in their own right. So conversions, you're trying to target the people who are most likely to convert. So this is pretty important for e-commerce. It's even better, in my opinion, for lead generation than a lead generation ad. And the reason why is because whenever you use one of these conversion campaigns, you're essentially trying to find the person who's most likely to convert. So if you're selling a product on, let's say your Shopify store or anything like that, Facebook's going to try to show this product to the person who's most likely to convert at the lowest price. So they're pretty useful, and you're going to want to use conversions over traffic or any other campaign because they're consistently and across the board the most cost efficient way to get people to buy in. Also, they're better than lead generation just because I've had a lot of clients come up and tell me that they've had problems with this before. Let's say bots filled out the form and they get a lot of fake leads, or sometimes it's so seamless with these lead generation campaigns that there's not really a lot of friction built in. So whenever someone will opt in for these lead generation campaigns, it'll auto fill out the form, and sometimes people don't even realize that they filled it out because they're just randomly clicking on their newsfeed. So you can get a lot of unqualified leads that way. It's better to provide some sort of friction with these conversion campaigns. So the way that you would do this is you would start the campaign, you would optimize your pixel for complete form, which is that thank you page that someone lands on after they've filled out, after they've given you their information. And since there's a little bit of friction with this, it's been proven to get kind of higher quality leads, just because it's not as easy for someone to fill out the form with. The next one, product catalog sales. These are actually some of my favorite campaigns. So essentially, it's a dynamic product ad. So what happens with these is you would upload your products from, let's say, your Shopify store, or from your product catalog, really anywhere that you have that source of data. And then you would begin to see, Facebook would take that data that you have on your pixel, the data that you have from your product catalog, and it would begin to show this. It would begin to show ads in the ad auction dynamically, based on the person that's viewing this. So hypothetically speaking, let's say there's someone in the Facebook ad auction that has taken interest to shoes. They go to a lot of shoe websites and they tend to purchase. And let's say they're interested in a particular shoe, let's say high tops, for instance, and you just so happen to sell high tops in your store. Well, but you also sell a number of other items. So whenever a number of other shoes, let's say stilettos, heels, Vans, etc. So whenever you begin to show your product catalog, whenever you begin to show your dynamic product ad to this person in the ad auction, since they're interested in high tops and you sell high tops, it's going to show your high top shoes to this person rather than some of the other shoes that you have within your product catalog. And it's going to do this across the board for anybody else that you're sending your advertisements to. So let's say that there's another person that you're also targeting within the same audience, but they're more interested in Vans, and you're selling Vans within your product, and you have Vans within your product catalog. It'll show those Vans over the high tops to this person who's more interested in Vans, trying to get them to convert. So they're actually very, very powerful. They're also really good for retargeting, but you need a very large audience for you need a very large audience for these dynamic product ads, these product catalog sales campaigns, to be successful with these retargeting audiences. And I'll go into that in a little bit more detail in another video. And then store visits, it's a pretty simple campaign. You're essentially trying to drive people to your brick and mortar store. Alright, Jedi, so the next thing that I want to talk about is the ad set. And on the ad set level, this is where you're going to begin to choose. This is a conversion campaign, so this is where you'd select which conversion event you're trying to optimize for. But on this ad set level, this is where you're going to choose your audiences. This is where you can begin to segment your audiences, where you can also create them, and which ones you can select for the guys that you're trying to show your advertisements to. But for right now, it's also where you can show. It's also where you're telling Facebook where you want your advertisements to show within Facebook and within the audience network as well. But for right now, I really want to focus kind of right here on the budget and scheduling section. So right here, your budget. There's two budget types, daily and lifetime. And so whenever you select these budget types, a daily budget, you're essentially optimizing the Facebook algorithm to try to spend that $20 that day, $20 a day. And this is regardless of whether or not your target market's active. So you're essentially telling Facebook, hey Facebook, here's $20. I want you to spend this every single day forever, unless you set a schedule to it. So the best option here is really lifetime. The reason being is you can schedule this, so you're essentially telling Facebook, hey Facebook, I want you to spend this $350 over the course of 3 or 4 weeks. And so what that comes out to is it's still going to be similar to a daily budget. So if you schedule it to so if you schedule Facebook to sell, if you set a lifetime budget of $400 over the course of 3 weeks, that's 21 days. So you're essentially taking that $400 budget and you're dividing it by 21. So it's going to be about $19. So you're essentially telling Facebook the same thing you would with a daily budget, because it's still going to try to spend around $19 a day. However, it's going to try to spend this budget whenever your target market's more active. So let's say Monday rolls around and only about $5 worth of your target market is active. It's only going to try to spend $5 that day because it knows that it has more days to spend this budget. So it's not going to try and blow it on the days that your target market's not active. But let's say Tuesday rolls around and $24 worth of your target market's active. It's really going to try to spend the budget there because it knows you'll have better success on those days. So just to recap, whenever you set a daily budget, you're trying to get Facebook to spend that $20 a day versus a lifetime budget to where it's trying to spend that $400, that $20 over the course of a lifetime that you've set. So let's say 3 weeks to a month. And this is just a more cost efficient way of reaching the same people. Okay, so let's go into some more rules about some of these ad sets that we have. So whenever you're running one of these campaigns and you have everything set up and everything's good to go, and you've already run this ad set, it's already gone through the reviewed process and it's live, and then you want to make changes, it's best not to touch the ad set unless you absolutely need to change something. The reason being is because whenever you've created an ad and you've let it run into the ad auction and it's already begun to collect data, you've essentially locked that ad set in. So there's a lot of different things there's a lot of different variables, and so like the audience, like your budget, like your ads, like your ad, your creative, things like that Facebook takes into account whenever you begin to whenever you set your ad set and your different variables. So it's going to take all those and it's going to lock them in. And so you've optimized the algorithm for those particular set of settings. And you've also begun to gather data at those settings. So whenever you decide to change anything, this is going to completely reset the optimization. It's going to wipe your data on that ad set as well. So it's best to not touch anything on this ad set, just because you're unlocking it, you're having to reset the algorithm completely, you're losing your data. There's just a whole bunch wrong. There's just a whole bunch of things that can go wrong whenever you decide to pause or change anything on the ad set. So it's best to just go ahead and duplicate the ad set, make whatever changes you have, pause the old ad set, and let this new ad set run so that way it can begin collecting data. And so that way you still have your previous data on that last ad set. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about is the creative type. And so whenever you're deciding to choose a creative type on Facebook, there's more or less 3 basic tiers. So the best advertisement you can use on Facebook is a single video. The reason being is that videos get higher rates of engagement. You can capture the audiences that have watched your videos with custom audiences. They tend to get higher click-through rates and conversion rates as well. And so, and since they're also very visual and they're native to the Facebook platform, they tend to deliver better when compared to a single image or a carousel ad. Now, that's not to say that a single image or carousel ad is bad. It's just if you have video creative on hand, it's best to try to test that out first, just because that's going to give you the best possible chance of success. So the next creative type is the image carousel. And the image carousels tend to get around 20 to 30% higher click-through rates when compared to a single image ad. Let me see, you're not going to be able to capture them with a custom audience, but you can get multiple bits of creative for kind of the same cost. Since you're paying for impressions and not necessarily which creative type you use, you can have up to 10 little carousel cards. Yeah, you can have up to 10 little carousel cards within one ad. So that gives you multiple different opportunities to show your message, to put additional copy, and also to put more bits of creative in there than a single image. So just real estate wise, they're more cost efficient as well. And so lastly, the kind of best creative type is the single image ad. And this is kind of the tried and true. It's still a very good advertisement. And then kind of finally on the creative types, one of the rules that you need to be kind of aware of is the 20% text rule. So essentially, whenever you create an ad, because Facebook wants to show the most relevant bit of content to the most relevant user at any given time, this also applies to ads as well. You really don't want a lot of text in your images because that's going to ruin delivery, especially after 20%. We're not going to disapprove the ad, but it's just going to limit the delivery, and you might not be able to spend your budget or get as many conversions as you want. So the best thing that you possibly can do with one of your ads is to leave it completely visual with no text at all. This way it's more native to the platform. It's easier for your target market to engage with, and it just looks better overall, and you're probably going to get better results than if you were to have some sort of text or copy within the ad. It's best to put that copy and your text within the text or the headline options, kind of underneath the ad. And anyways, Jedis, that's all I wanted to go over today. So the key takeaways from this video are to always choose the campaign objective that you want your target market to accomplish for you. So if you're trying to sell a product, you're trying to use, you're going to want to use conversions. If you're trying to drive people to your website, your best option is traffic. If you want them to watch a video, then video views is going to be your best friend. And be sure to set a lifetime budget over a daily budget. That way you're not spending your campaign dollars on people who aren't active within your target market at a particular time. And that way you can also get the best results for the same amount of dollar spend you would spend over that time period. Let me see. Whenever you're trying to make changes to your ad set, don't touch anything to the original ad set because that's going to ruin with its current optimization. If you did want to make changes, be sure to duplicate that ad set so you save the data, make your changes, and then go ahead and run the ad set again, and then pause your old ad set so that way everything is saved and your optimization, and that way this new ad set can properly optimize. For your ads, be sure to use a video ad if you have it on hand. If not, then an image carousel, and if not, then a single image ad. Make sure that these ads don't have any more than 20% text, so that way you're still native to the Facebook platform, and you're not violating any of the kind of organic fill rules that Facebook is trying to achieve with its users.